Hello, welcome to our webcast today. A reminder for our audience, please, to check out the panel to your right. There is a chat section where you can chat with fellow attendees. Please use the Q&A to ask any questions that you might have. If one pops into your head, just go ahead and put it in the Q&A. We probably will wait until the end to address any questions, but we don't want you to forget your questions. So anytime you want to pop that question into the Q&A section. We also have a doc section where you're going to find some really valuable information regarding today's talk. Some information about benchANT and the DBaaS Navigator, some information about some benchmarks that were done previously on Capella, Couchbase Capella. And with that, I would like to turn it over to our guest today. So Matthew Groves is on the Couchbase team. He is our DevRel engineer. And does quite a few of these webcasts for us, an SME in many areas of Couchbase. And today we have a special guest, Daniel Siebold from benchANT. And he's going to talk quite a bit today about benchANT and their DBaaS Navigator. So I'm going to turn it over to Matthew and to Daniel. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for the introduction there, Suzanne. I'm Matthew Groves, and I'm going to do a brief intro here, hand it over to Daniel to talk about the cool stuff that benchANT is doing. That's what we're going to do next. After that, I'll come back on and talk about how Couchbase Capella fits into the picture as a DBaaS. And anytime we have left over at the end, we will spend on Q&A, either for myself or Daniel or both. So a quick introduction to what we're going to talk about mainly today. The idea is, how do I choose a DBaaS? There are many options out there when it comes to DBaaS, and what are the things we should take into account? So one is performance, of course. We'll talk about that some today. Is it just fast? But there's more. It's more complexity than that. Is it fast for a given workload? Is it fast for a given access pattern? The second thing is deployment. What clouds are supported by a given DBaaS? What instance sizes if it's a provisioned DBaaS? And what about Kubernetes and on-prem, mobile, edge? How does that fit into the picture? Management is important as well. So things like backup and monitoring and interfaces and APIs that are available, and regulation things like GDPR. How do those fit into the picture? How do we evaluate those? Support is important as well. What plans are offered for supports? What's the response time like? What's the SLA? How much does support cost? And then, of course, with cost, the overall pricing, cost per operation, cost for storage, what's the pricing model? These are all important factors. And you really can't just focus on just one when you make a decision. And this is why that we at Couchbase like what benchANT is doing with their rankings and their DBaaS Navigator, because it gives a holistic view of comparing those various DBaaSes. And so with that in mind, I want to turn it over to Daniel to give an overview of benchANT and show you how it works. And I'll rejoin afterwards to talk more about how Couchbase Capella fits into that overall holistic picture. So send it over to you there, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Matt. And of course, thanks a lot for the invitation to today's webcast. So I'm always happy to talk about the work that we do at benchANT, especially since our goal is to provide a vendor agnostic and transparent view on the database market, especially when it comes to performance and also to costs. Before to dive into the technical details, a few words on myself. So, hi, I'm Daniel. I have an academic background, did my studies and also my PhD at the Ulm University in Germany with a focus on distributed systems, distributed database systems that are operated in the cloud. And after finishing my PhD, we took these results in the spin-off benchANT together with my co-founders to build the first benchmarking as a service platform for cloud and database systems. in a nutshell, benchANT comes on the one hand side with a lot of assets from and insights from the research career. And we now provide the first fully automated benchmarking as a service platform. And apart from that technical platform that we have, we also provide some tooling for the community that is focused around database performance and database cost comparisons. This is on the one hand side, the Open Database Performance Ranking and the DBaaS Navigator. And today, I'm going to give you a brief overview on these tools with a focus on the DBaaS Navigator and how Couchbase Capella fits in there. But before diving into these details, a few words how we actually came up with the idea to build these tools. So we're working with customers that are enterprises, that are cloud providers, database vendors, and quite often we get the challenge that there is a customer-specific problem looking for a new database system to support their data-intensive application with some SLAs and finding the right technology in the most cost-efficient way. So now probably Matt would say, well, let's go for Capella in any case. But as already said, so we're vendor neutral. So we always like to have a deep look into the technology and do an in-depth analysis. And why do we do this actually? Well, it's not that easy to get the performance data for your application or your data intensive application. There are some sources out there apart from just asking Google. Well, there is on the one hand side, the great tool Database of Databases provided by the Carnegie Mellon University. It's great to keep track with the latest bleeding edge database technologies that came on the market, but you won't get any performance numbers here. There is also the well-known ranking of DBaaS that provides you a ranking for many database technologies, but this ranking is not based on performance, it's based on popularity. And with benchANT, we actually follow one of the great statements of one of the pioneers in IT. So we were always looking at reliable and transparent measurements when it comes to evaluate database technologies. And why is this still a challenge? Probably even more these days than some years before all the cloud and NoSQL movement. Well, there are many things you need to consider when you run performance measurements in the cloud. This is just a small snapshot out of the aspects. There are many more. And back in our research days, we were analyzing all these impact factors, bake them into a technical framework that is able to consider all these factors when running performance measurements, and especially run enough performance measurements to analyze all these aspects and how they're going to have impact on the performance that you will get out of a system. This tool is publicly available. You will also find a lot of scientific references around that. And it was basically built to automate the full benchmark process from allocating the cloud resources, configuring the database system, running multiple kinds of workloads in parallel, collecting a lot of measurements, not only performance numbers, but also all system metrics that are required to analyze the results afterwards, and to provide you unique insights in the performance of a system and what is actually impacting the performance. And we took these research results into building an enterprise-grade benchmarking as a service platform that is able to address many options or many challenges when it comes to database systems in the cloud. So that goes way beyond just performance, also looking into scalability, elasticity, different kind of cost aspects, and so on. So having said that, this was where we're coming from the technical side. And when we run all these measurements, it also was our goal to provide a first platform to the community to compare database performance on a very high level, but still providing a ranking that is focused around performance. So this ranking, it's publicly available on our website. It's not the goal that this should be the answer to any performance related questions when you're looking for a database system, but it should be a very very first step to start the decision process. The data is also completely open source. The focus is on database systems that are operated on infrastructure as a service. These are all non-production setups, so there is no backup enabled, there are no specific security features enabled, and so on. And it currently contains already over 120 measurements for NoSQL, NewSQL, and also relational database systems. And we also have Couchbase in there, and I will briefly go over some of the insights that you can get out of the ranking when you're looking for Couchbase related performance numbers. So what we have in the ranking is we measured Couchbase and many other database systems, different kind of cluster sizes, starting from a small 1-node cluster to up to a 9-node cluster with larger instances that go up to 8 cores, 32 GB of RAM. You will get the throughput, latency numbers, and you can also see how throughput grows over growing cluster sizes. So yeah, showing the great scalability of Couchbase, for instance. We also have a lot of multi-cloud performance results. So running Couchbase on different kind of cloud providers with comparable instance sizes, it's not necessarily that you get the same performance out of it. It is even more diverse when you look at the throughput per cost numbers, for instance. This is also what you can get in the ranking and overview if you're in a multi-cloud setup and looking for the most price performance optimal cloud provider. And of course, we also did, or it's also possible to compare Couchbase with other NoSQL database systems. So for instance, here you see how Couchbase performs against other NoSQL systems, all operated in a 3-node cluster, same instance sizes. And yeah, Couchbase in that case provides an outstanding throughput numbers for that specific workload. So this ranking was focused around database systems on infrastructure as a service, but especially over the last 1.5 years, the customers that were approaching us were mainly interested in database as a service offers. Of course, with our framework, we can easily run the same large-scale benchmarks on database as a service. So also providing here performance numbers, performance per cost comparisons, and scalability insights. It's also easily possible with our framework. But customers were also asking, well, what is the feature set the database as a service provides? What is the usability for this DBaaS? What is the tooling around it? And well, yeah, of course, you can read the docs and compare it by yourself, but this is very cumbersome, very time consuming. And we had already all that knowledge. And this is why we decided to actually bring together our unique capability to run these performance measurements together with the knowledge on multiple DBaaS offers into one platform. And there, we decided to answer questions: what are comparable categories? What are relevant features per category, and how to score each feature to provide an easy usable platform to customers. And of course, bringing that together with the performance numbers that we have with our platform. And again, we also, since we have academic background, we also did some research if there is already a platform out there. But it turns out that, again, there is no technical platform out there. There are tools like Capterra, G2, where you can compare technologies, but this is going to be on a really high level. And of course, same goes for if you ask ChatGPT, which is the best document DBaaS, for instance. So you will only get a very high level answer. And with our benchANT Navigator, we provide a first, technical platform that allows you to compare different kind of DBaaS. The Navigator is again available on our webpage, free to use, so feel free to check it out later. I will also dive into a demo to demonstrate how to use it and what are the different kind of categories. But before doing that, a few words on the actual features of the Navigator. So it is completely open and transparent for comparable database as a service offers. You could also call it the technical Capterra or G2. It provides a unified scoring for the categories deployment management, support performance, and pricing. Each category comes with a lot of individual features that we're going to have a look afterwards. In total, we have over 50 specific features scored. And to ensure the transparency, all the performance measurements that are included are available on GitHub, same as for the ranking. And also the scoring is publicly available. So if you wonder why some features are rated with a score of X, you can all easily follow that on the publicly available ranking. And for today, well, we're gonna have a look at the document database as a service offers. In particular, on these four, of course, Couchbase Capella, MongoDB Atlas, and the two hyperscaler specific ones, Amazon Document DB and Azure Cosmos DB. These four are already available and scored in our Navigator. And now I'm gonna switch to the Navigator to provide you a short demo. Yeah, as already said, the Navigator is available on our webpage. Yeah, so the Navigator is available on our webpage. It supports multiple or is classified into different kind of data models and database service per data model. So today, of course, we're going to look into the document-oriented one. And on a high-level view, what you see is the rate, a summed up score per DBaaS. You also see the score per category. And you also what you also can do is to weight specific categories depending on your preferences. So for example, if you say performance is really important for you, but well, you don't care that much on support, score is gonna adapt, of course, individually. So, but for now, we're gonna start with the equally weighted one and go into the details of each category. What we already can see on the total score is that Couchbase Capella does really well, clearly outperforms the hyperscaler specific ones, and is also close to MongoDB Atlas. And with some updates that gonna come in the next month, there also can be expected an increase in the Capella score. So let's look into the deployment category. Here we have a lot of individual features scored that are related to the deployment options. So for example, we see the supported cloud infrastructures, we see the number of regions associated with the score, kind of cluster types. Here, of course, best thing is if you got a sharded cluster and also support geo-distribution. Always Couchbase does this really well. Also, a lot of options when it comes to the regions in different cloud by different cloud providers. You will also get way more insights in maximum cluster sizes, instance types, and so on. There's also one thing that we can highlight here. So all the analyzed offers are based on dedicated resource-based options, so no serverless. That is also something that's gonna come in the near future. And for these dedicated options, Couchbase offers 12 different kind of storage backends, summed up overall providers, which is a unique feature here. We also look if the DBaaS provides auto-scaling when it comes to compute. can be done manually, automatically. When it comes to storage, the auto scaling. And there is also, also always important the version, how many different database versions are supported, how do you do a version upgrade, what is the support provided by the DBaaS provider. There you will also get some insights, then some more or less already standard features of DBaaS, such as private network support, TLS support, disk encryption. Here you can see that this is supported by basically all providers in the same way. We also have a category with unique DBaaS features. So here we highlight if or what are the unique features per DBaaS. So for example, Couchbase Capella is able to scale out analytical workloads, same as MongoDB Atlas. And there's one thing which makes it even more unique when it comes to the multi-dimensional scaling. So not only analytical workload, but also you can individually scale index nodes, data nodes, and even more different kind of node types individually. Supported BI connectors and the recent Capella IQ Dev support that has been recently released brings Capella here to the most unique DBaaS features. We also have a set of unique database features, so on the database technology itself, but this is not scored because this wouldn't be a fair comparison on that high level here anymore. But you will also find some insights here. The management category.
Daniel, could I just ask you for a second here? You mentioned that updates are coming. About how often do you plan to update these scores going forward?
We plan to do that at least once a month, depending also a bit on the update cycles per DBaaS provider. So most of them have a monthly update. Some only do every 2 months or every quarter. Depends a bit, but we're keeping track of these changes, and the idea is to have that every month. Yeah.
Thank you.
And looking into the next category here, in general, the management one, this combines two aspects. So first of all, how can you manage your cluster afterwards? So what are the supported interfaces? What is the monitoring, alerting that is supported? Here we see Couchbase provides a lot of interfaces, getting the highest score, similar to Atlas. Backup-wise, also doing comparably well. You got system monitoring, alerting tools, also a review on the available documentation, all in this comparable range to the other providers. The second half of the management feature now addresses all the regulations. So probably EU GDPR policy, probably more interesting for the people from European Union. But apart from that, we also have listed here the kind of CCPA policies, available certifications, and also including the community ranking from other platforms such as G2, Capterra, and all the marketplace ratings across the listed marketplaces per DBaaS.
One thing I do want to point out, this is why I'm asking about updates, is if you look at some of these numbers like GitHub repositories, it's definitely way lower than what the actual number is. So we've been working with benchANT to try to get these updated. And the fact that they update on a regular basis is actually one of the great features of benchANT. It's not a point in time, it's a continual upgrade. So that's always nice to see.
Exactly. So it is also the case that if we receive updates, so from the vendors that they release the new features and point it out to us. So we're going to check that, see how if that has an effect on the score, update it in the ranking, and also update the score to always keep track of the rapidly evolving DBaaS market and also provide as close as real-time score of the features. When it comes to support, what you can do here is get an overview. This was quite often asked by our customers if there is a comparison of the support levels and what you get per support level. So it's possible to check to select 4 kind of common support levels from free to premium, and then you will see what you get per support level, per support plan. An overview, you will see the price, get details on response time, response hours, also the channels, the SLA goals, downtime compensation, additional services, and of course links to where you can even dig deeper into the details on the respective support goals. Well, won't go into more details here, since we also have the performance numbers, which is also quite interesting, probably more interesting than support for now. Again, here, what we did is we choose a very artificial workload for the first workload in the Navigator, which is based on the Yahoo Cloud Serving benchmark, and it's a read insert mixture workload. There are many more different kind and more realistic ones to come and to be added at the Navigator, but this was a very artificial one that we chose intentionally to, and this is applied for all DBaaS that we currently have in the Navigator. And yeah, what we can see here is, well, Couchbase provides best throughput numbers compared to the other DBaaS. It also provides comparably good write latency. And since we run every measurement multiple times to also get some insights if there is a throughput or if there's performance volatility over time, we can see that Couchbase provides really stable results here. And another metric that we measure during the whole benchmark process is the deployment time. So how long does it actually take to spin up the cluster and get a ready-to-use cluster in an automated way for you? Could also call it the time, how long your coffee break gonna take. And here you see that so far Couchbase doesn't have a score since manual steps are required. And Matt just informed me some hours ago that there is a new release of the Couchbase Management API that now supports to fully automate the deployment process. And we're also going to rerun the tests this week and add the results here. Then this will also, of course, increase the score for Capella. And we also have here for the multi-cloud DBaaS. Currently, we only have measurements for AWS, but same goes again. We will add also for the other providers, GCP and Azure results in the next month.
Daniel, could you say a little more about the workload itself? It's a YCSB workload, and can you just describe the percentage reads and writes real quick?
Yeah, so the initial data set is 50 gigabyte, and then the workload has a 50% of inserts and 50% on reads, coming or selecting the records based on a Zipfian distribution. So this is not does not emulate a realistic application, but this was by intention to have a very artificial one in the beginning, and then start with more realistic ones, also the standard ones that are provided by YCSB, but also add other benchmark suits that provide way more realistic workloads for the Navigator. Since with our platform, we have support for multiple benchmark suits and also some custom customer-specific workloads that we can run automatically. But we decided for that to have a common baseline that does not reflect or that does also not favor any kind of database technology or DBaaS in the beginning. So that was the idea behind of it. For the pricing, here you will get, well, first of all, a performance per cost metric. Here you can see that, well, Capella and Atlas doing really good here. You can also see the monthly cost for the selected cluster that we have. We always selected, of course, a comparable one across all providers. How are the costs composed? So resource costs, storage costs, and so on. What you also see or get insights on is the pricing model and the additional costs such as network costs. You can get some basic information on the payment options, payment terms, and probably that's also quite interesting. So what are the discount programs? How easily can you start with the respective DBaaS? And then you will also get in the end some additional information. You can see when it was last update. So this was this September. So end of September, they're going to be the next update cycle for the navigator, and you will find some additional details on the company and some provider links and discounts. So I hope I got you interested in the DBaaS Navigator. Feel free to check it out by yourself and play with it and dive into the respective categories. In case there are any questions, or I'm happy to answer them afterwards. And of course, we're also always happy on missing features or categories that you want to have compared here that we haven't thought about yet, or our customers didn't ask us about so far. And now I'm happy to give back to you, Matt, to talk a bit more on Capella and the performance numbers.
Sure thing. Thanks very much, Daniel. And I'll just finish up with a few more slides here. Thank you very much for the presentation, Daniel, and the cool stuff that benchANT is doing. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming up in the next iteration and beyond. So I want to spend some time talking about Capella. Daniel did a great job highlighting how Capella did on the scorecard. And I want to bring up some other benchmarks that if you're interested in performance. We commissioned this earlier this year with a variety of workloads and configurations. So I like this benchmark because of all the various workloads that are there, lots of different options, 4 different workloads and 4 different configurations, and then 4 competitors. So it's a lot more data there, a lot more data points to compare with. It does not take, this is just about performance and cost, though. It does not take that holistic approach that benchANT takes. This is purely about speed and cost. So I'm not going to go into all these, but we have the full report available as one of the documents for this presentation if you want to check out the details there. I wanted to show the first workload A, which is a 50/50 read-write. So you can, again, read all the details. That's similar to the workload that benchANT is running. You can see all the details in the paper, but the left chart here is operations per second. So the higher, the better. And the right chart is cost per 1 billion operations. So on that side, it's the lower, the better. Of course, that just takes into account the actual costs and prices. It does not take into account the TCO, all the different factors that go into that. It's just about the, what would the bill be. So this shows very good performance for Couchbase at a very low cost. And just to drill in on latency, this is the latency version of that same workload there. So this is lower is better, and we see some difference from the benchANT numbers here. So again, it's different workloads and different sizes, configurations. But I just wanted to point out that the Couchbase latency is very consistently low here. It's the red line there at the bottom. And this is because Couchbase has the memory first architecture. So it's a built-in cache layer. So latency is typically very low because you're often reading and writing right from memory. And the other one I want to focus on is a pagination test. And this is one I find personally very interesting as a web developer, is because this is the kind of workload that would be great for showing a page of items for sale. or a leaderboard or search results. You're only going to show a certain subset of the total results. So this is a very common use case for the web. You don't want to show all 1 million items for sale on a page. You want to show the first 50 or the first 20 or whatever. So this workload simulates a selection by field with pagination. And what's interesting about this is that for smaller deployments, the 3 node there, actually Mongo and Couchbase are very close to each other. But you can see as deployments get larger, that your customer base is growing and your operations are growing, that Couchbase starts to pull away there in operations per second. Again, higher is better on the left. And then on the right, it shows the associated costs with that per billion operations is consistently very low. And just to finish up with the latency chart there, again, lower is better in this chart. Again, Couchbase consistently good latency there. Also note, this is a little different from the other ones because this is a logarithmic scale because we had to fit Redis on the chart. And well, I'm not going to go into that very much because that wasn't even part of the benchANT. But that's why it's logarithmic, because I had to fit Redis on the chart somehow. So that's all about speed and performance, and those are important and costs associated as well. But there are other factors to consider, which is, again, why I like the benchANT approach so much, because it's a more holistic approach here. What I'm showing here is called data sprawl. This might be an extreme example, but not that far-fetched. Data sprawl happens when, as you add use cases to your enterprise or to your project, you keep adding a point solution tool. So a single tool to address a single use case, something like a cache. You might add a cache or a NoSQL database, a relational database, a full text search engine, mobile database, and more. And as your project, your enterprise keeps growing, so does your requirements to manage all those things, to update and manage and maintain a variety of those different data tools. So think of all the patches you have to apply over time, and SDKs you have to learn, and all the documentation and tweaks you have to learn for each of these tools. And then need to manage all those pipelines, all those blue lines up there that go to and from your services and mobile and all the other data tools also need to be updated and patched and maintained and installed and everything. And then finally, duplication of data. If you have multiple tools storing the same data multiple times, that can come with some inefficiency, of course, but also increases risk. If you have a more exposure of the same data across multiple tools, and you have to manage the governance among all those tools. So that is one of the issues that Capella has been designed to address, is through a multi-model, which Daniel mentioned in one of those scores there, the ability to access the same pool of data with different methods and access patterns. So for instance, key value is very fast and also a very simple way to interact with data. SQL++ query are much more flexible way to access data, and they're familiar. SQL is a very popular query language. Full text search engine can give you efficient text-based, token-based search and or geospatial search if you want to search a certain region of a map. And there's a lot more, including time series, mobile sync, building cache. These are all available in Couchbase and Couchbase Capella. I want to highlight a few customers as we wind down here. So Nexon is a gaming company. You may have heard of them. They make games like MapleStory, Blue Archive, or Dave the Diver, and those are all Nexon games. And they went with Couchbase for a variety of reasons. Again, very holistic approach. But I wanted to highlight specifically the versatility they needed for user profile, for caching, for JSON document storage, and reducing their need for separate relational databases and database tools. The next thing is that using Couchbase can actually save you some time and make your life easier as a developer or an architect. I'm a developer, so I'm in danger of talking way too much about this, but I'm trying to keep it very short and focused on 3 things. SQL++, my favorite thing. It's SQL for JSON. So SQL is the most popular language for querying data in the world, and Couchbase supports it. You don't need to learn a whole new proprietary language to get started and be productive. I think of it as best of both worlds. So you have the speed, scale, flexibility of NoSQL, and you get the familiar declarative syntax of SQL. And it's real SQL, by the way. It's not just a lookalike, it's real standard SQL you can use with joins and aggregation, and everything you'd expect from SQL is there. And then replication. So Couchbase has always been good at replication and sync. If you have Couchbase running in multiple data centers, you can It's super easy to start synchronizing data between them, and it syncs in real time. Every cluster is an active cluster, allowing you to process both reads and writes in any region if you want to. Mobile sync is another great feature. A database can be deployed to mobile or edge devices, and that will keep working even when there's no internet connection available for that device. And they can even sync with each other. If they're in close proximity, they can do peer-to-peer syncing between devices. And when internet connection returns, data can be automatically synced back to that data center via Capella app services. Now, if you're like me and you have built systems like this in the past, trying to build them from scratch or from different parts, you understand the pain of building that and all the conflict resolution and network latency and checking if network is available or not. It's really, really painful to do. So Couchbase Mobile makes it more easier and more turnkey than doing it yourself. So you can focus on making a great app, which is what Quantic has done. Actually, they're a point of sale company. They went with Couchbase because of the best of both worlds, JSON and SQL, as I mentioned, but they also use key value for very quick access when they can. And they're using app services to sync data automatically. They don't want to turn down payment just because internet goes down for a short period of time. So a great example of a holistic approach. And the last thing, focus on cost a little bit. Making a decision about DBaaS, oftentimes you're thinking, how much is it going to cost? Well, I can say that according to some third-party validated survey data from Tech Validate, that over half our customers have had a TCO reduction when they switch to Couchbase. So yes, licensing is part of that, of course, but also keep in mind the management costs, training, versatility, and consolidation opportunities. And the last one I want to mention is Customer Facet Digital. They're a company that builds web and mobile apps for their customers, and they were able to reduce their TCO by 50%. But not only that, they reduced deployment time dramatically as well. And they improved performance in some queries as much as 2,000%, which is exceptional. I can't promise that for every single query, but Couchbase Capella is an exceptional database. So with that in mind, we're going to bring Daniel back on here, and we'll see if we have any questions we can answer. I did see some earlier that we can talk about. So if that's okay, Suzanne, we'll start taking questions right now.
Sure, absolutely. There's one from Alex in the chat that asks, does read workload use index service or go directly to data service for Couchbase?
I think this one came up when you were talking about the workloads there, Daniel. I can say that for pagination, for instance, when we're doing reads there, it's got to be a SQL query using an index service. But for the other, like a 50/50 workload, I would assume they would use key value for that. I don't know for sure, Daniel. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, so it is key value. So there were no additional specific indexes created for none of the database systems that we benchmarked for the document once. But this is, of course, also something that we plan to do in the upcoming benchmarks to use then for more realistic workloads, showing how performance is going to improve if you turn on such things as the indices and how it is going to impact performance also for different kind of database technologies. Yeah.
Okay, great. And if you have questions, just use the Q&A there, or we'll also be monitoring chat if you happen to throw it in there. I got a question for you, though, Daniel, while we wait for people to type further, is, we saw 4 document databases here, and you have other database types available. What are your plans for adding more vendors or databases to the DBaaS Navigator in the future?
Yeah, so this is definitely our plan. So we're already in contact with several other database vendors, also cloud providers that want to have their offers listed there. It always depends a bit on our resources. So if we do customer projects and look into some database as a service providers anyway, then this is one option. Or if we get approached by vendors who want to have their offer immediately in there, then it's also, of course, another option. And then there's the thing with adding more database specific workloads. to it.
Oh, there it is. I saw a question that appeared and it then disappeared. So there it is. The question is, does Couchbase support full text search over one of the fields? You can do a full text search over one field. Certainly, you can also do a full text search over multiple fields. It's really up to you when you configure the full text search index. But I think the key point there is when you're creating a full text search index, you don't have to create a separate service, spin up a separate server somewhere with a different vendor. That's built right into Couchbase. So if you start out with a relatively simple use case where it's just key value or doing SQL queries, you can then take that same pool of data and add a full text search index. And right away, you have full text search abilities in real time of data that's getting updated there. You don't have to wait for it to be copied over to another service or through a data pipeline. It's all right there in the same Couchbase cluster. I hope that answers the question. If you have more details about what you're trying to get at there, happy to discuss those as well. All right. Do we have any more?
I don't see anything else in the chat. However, if you do have your questions, continue to send those in. We can always follow up with you after the session today. Of course, if you'd like to reach out to us, if you need any more information, feel free to reach out to us at any time, and we can get you to the right person. I want to thank Matthew, and I especially want to thank Daniel for joining us today as our guest. Really great to see some more metrics there, and some more information that can be used by customers to make the right decision, you know, when choosing a DBaaS. So really appreciate the time. Very, very exciting product. I hope you will all look at our October calendar for webcasts. We have a customer reference coming up on October 10th with Tondo Smart. They're going to talk about using Couchbase to help them build a smart city. And then we are also going to connect with JetBrains. Couchbase has created a plugin for JetBrains. So quite a good partnership there. Also really relevant to developers and making things easier for developers to use. So please check back with us and hope to see you at a future webcast. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.